1, 2, 3, get it! Woo! Come! You know it's Fert Dance Friday, yeah!
All right, so it's been 2 days since I was up in the lawn assessing everything, and I was up there again this morning, kicking some things around, trying to see if I can get that mat of dead grass kind of in a concentrated area. It's still very wet, and temperature today is supposed to get around 60, which is nice, but then we drop down again and we're getting more rain the next 2 days. Just in the last 2 days, there's been a fairly significant amount of green growth coming in up there, and I'm worried I'm going to miss a timeline. So today there's a breeze. I probably could get some light torching on it, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think that I'm now going to have to wait until next week. But I am going to formulate a plan around this and talk about it for a second, and then how I'm going to treat beyond that. So currently, my backyard where I do all this work, I don't have a front yard. I live on a steep hill, and honestly, where I live, it's better to be a little bit more water-wise up here in the high desert, and so I keep things to a fairly, well, I don't know if you would call this a minimal landscape. The person who owned this house before me planted no less than 250 trees on the property, and I have about an acre, and that means most of them were planted way too close together, well overwatered, and they grew really quickly and smashed into each other and have caused all kinds of trouble. Now, this is a sidetrack from my plan, but quite a few of the aspen trees here, and you can tell that they're aspen trees because of the way they are, have cytospora canker, and that affects the tops of the trees typically first, and they'll start to basically rot out, and it jumps from aspen trees. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 that I'll probably end up cutting down here within the next couple of weeks. I've counted up that I had 6 Austrian pines die. It looks mostly because of wind. It was, winter here. You never know how that's going to go, and it looks like it tipped them enough to tear some roots out. So those are going to get pulled out as well. But that's it's sad in this backyard area that I have. They provide a lot of shade, and I have had some luck arresting some of that before, treating with a couple of different products, some nutrients plus some peroxide and things like that, because it is a fungus actually that does that. So I don't know if I'm going to try to do that. There's going to be some construction going on here too that'll have lack of trees. But anyway, let's jump back onto the lawn real quick. So I have sort of a kidney bean shaped lawn, and it's protected pretty much all the way around by, if you want to call it, fire breaks. It really is kind of what it is. There's a rock wall all along the bottom side. It kind of wraps around the top. There is flower beds that are where the trees are that are protected with also rock around it, and then areas of just native soil that are beyond that. Now, the potential things that I have to look for, if you're ever going to do anything like this, is there is a fence line, okay? So nothing is going to be burned along that line. And then there's also a playground area, so nothing is going to be burned along that line. So that's very important. The area where there is the most trouble is this upper area of very native rocky soil, but this is where the rabbits tend to come in, because everything in the back here is just native scape. It's all sagebrush and natural grasses and things. There's actually some prickly pear and stuff up there as well. So this area up here is going to be my main sort of target area. But what I have been doing is sort of windrowing this litter into an area right across the middle of the lawn so that it can dry out there. And this will get a burn that's controlled down into the middle, burning this way. And then I'm going to take what ash material I can and put it up here. So this area is going to get torched. There's not a whole lot growing up there. I'm actually just going to do that with a weed torch. So that area is going to get really heated up, and I'm going to try to mineralize a lot of that, whatever urine is in there, the rabbit crap that's up there, because there's a lot of it, and just see if I can burn some of that down and allow that grass to come out. So when I designed this backyard, I pulled a significant amount of native soil up from the top section and dragged it down to create a level area. So you've got a split across the middle of the lawn where it gets deeper depths of native soil that I brought down, and where it's a little bit thinner up on top. So obviously this is an area that is going to take a little extra care. It also has the highest amount of exposure. It's got the most sun exposure. It's on a slant, doesn't hold water very well. So this area in particular is going to be getting extra doses of Air8 this year. That will be happening on a regular basis. It is also going to be where the next level of rabbit deterrent comes from. So that's going to be coming up here pretty soon. I'm just waiting for a supply to show up of the material I'll be using, and I have a wonderful story about it. So that's the plan right in here. Now, again, my concern, and probably you're going to hear wind coming across the camera, that's a problem up here on the hill. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this burned down. So if I can't, there's going to be a different plan put into place. I'm going to pull all of this mat up a little bit higher. I am going to cover up that sort of rabbit area, and I'm going to start treating that with 1801 and d-Thatch and Air8 regularly, because I'm going to want that to break down and create a new organic matter layer. That's going to be the plan up on the upper side. So I will be coming out across this whole thing with 1801 very soon, but again, I've got more rain coming. The ground is very, very saturated, and I don't know when it's actually going to happen yet. So sometimes here we get these, well, I think we're on like spring 3, the beginning. Let's just call it that. It kind of comes in fits and starts. We get a couple days of warm, and then it'll come in snow, and that just keeps happening over and over and over again. So I kind of have to watch what I'm doing as far as getting material out, working with what I can up there. And the burn, unfortunately, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I have a great weed torch that's going to be used. I have been actually trying to get some areas to start, but it's just too wet. And it just might not happen the way that I want it to. So something will be happening. I can take and change this around, but I don't want to get rid of that old grass. It's got a ton of value to the soil up there, and so we want to make sure that I get that back down into the ground. So I want to keep it on property. I want to keep it on the turf. I don't want to give anything back up. I want to use all of the nutrients that got stuck in that material. I want it to break down. I want the earthworms to get that, and if I can encourage the breakdown via using d-Thatch, then that's what I'm going to do. But again, it's cool. And d-Thatch needs some heat. That's why I always recommend that you put that product out in like May, June, July, because the microbial activity comes way, way up when you get into summertime temperatures. So right now, that's the plan. We'll see. We'll see if I can get this done. Again, it might be next week, but it could be happening. Today is Fert Dance Friday, and I was considering, I might just go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and mix up some Air8 and throw it into my ortho sprayer and go hit that upper hill section. I might even be able to get some of that to dry out a little faster. So that's a good plan. That's a good plan. In fact, I'm going to do that right now.
I was just about to load up the old dial and spray, and well, hashtag hose problems. This day is going to end up being a bust video. First one. I've got to go do some hose work, so I'm going to catch this up hopefully Monday or Tuesday, get this whole place shining. So I got well, It's okay. Spring, right? You never know what's
One,
gonna happen.
two, three,
Talk to you guys
get
soon.
it. Woo! Come! You know it's Fert Dance Friday.